Hey folks, this is Derek, and this is a quick preview of Restore in its beta phase. I want to show you what sort of information Restore as a service can tell you about a given area. I am zooming into a small parcel of land. This is a farm in Spain. And you can see that I've created an outline of a particular area. This farm has, cultivated areas and then natural zones interspersed between the different points on the plot. So I've registered this as a private site on Restor, and I'm going through it. Now, it'll tell you some things about native species. So these are tree species that could naturally grow in the area. And if I wanted to, I could click in on this list, and it gives me all sorts of information about the tree height, the stem diameter, the root depth, and apparently, in drier areas, deeper roots are better. I could learn even more from the trait database. It seems like this is pulling in a whole bunch of information from multiple sources, which is really cool. Here, by the same token, in addition to trees, there are herbaceous species. Here are general climatic landscape information about this area. And bear in mind, hold on, I should say that this area is 0.5, it's like half a square kilometer. It's not a large piece of land, right? So this is not really in the resolution, in the high resolution imagery of a lot of landscapes. But it'll show some interesting information, the elevation, the mean temperature, annual precipitation, and it gets this from apparently a data set. This is from a study where they're taking the machine learning. Here, I'll open it up. Climatology is at high resolution for Earth's surface area. So I guess they have an algorithm for modeling what precipitation is. And I don't know if they're doing it for exactly this polygon, how they get from that algorithm to this particular polygon, but it seems to be pretty sophisticated stuff. Soil pH, aridity index. Here again, like they're building this off of modeling. In terms of carbon, this to me is exceedingly interesting, and I want to dive in more of it. This is another scientific paper. Soil carbon debt over 12,000 years of human use, and it explains honestly, this is, so they have a model performance and predictors. So they are using a model to estimate the amount of carbon that is stored, and they're saying, here's how much carbon is stored now, and here's how much could be. And in this case, it appears to think that the two are exactly the same. You can see that there's been an increase in carbon over the last 20 years. That's interesting to see. That might be an interesting data point for a landscape that's working on or an organization that's working on a landscape over 20 years. Evapotranspiration seems to, vary wildly. Now, there's land cover, and this might be interested for some landscapes that are trying to do this prediction on their own. They are trying to calculate land use, and they have a natural model that has many different categories. So in this case, it's saying that this particular land is, of the 0.57 kilometers, about half is cultivated and managed vegetation. 0.16 km squared is barren, and another 0.15 km squared is shrubs. And that looks about right to me. So the vegetation part, you can see the rows and columns of plants here, and that takes up a large stretch. There's barren areas that appear to be like in the middle or in between these rows, right? And then there's shrubbery, and I wonder if that's the little natural zones here. But it's difficult to tell, right? They're basing this, again, off of a model, and it's hard to tell what kind of resolution the information is at. If we were to look at the Earth and land cover data set, it's pulling from this thing. And as far as I can tell, the resolution for this data set, all data layers have a spatial extent and have a spatial resolution of 30 arc seconds, which is about 1 kilometer per pixel at the equator. I believe, as I mentioned, this is like half a square kilometer. So, like, this is 1 pixel within the Earth land cover data set. How, you know, this leads to a lot of questions. You can also look at recent satellite imagery. And here, actually, the thing that I thought was most interesting, I'd like to play the Sentinel time lapse. How do I pull that up again? You could look at Sentinel data. Can we look at the time lapse over time? How do I hit play? I think I might be able to play a video of this. Tree cover, potential tree cover. Recent satellite imagery. A moment ago, I was able to play a video of the time lapse, and now I do not know how I can do that. But you can see this is the resolution of Sentinel imagery that we have. It's kind of blurry, right? So the ability to count from Sentinel information, what is shrub and what isn't, I have a lot of questions. Is it just taking each individual pixel and then doing multispectral analysis? Still, though, really cool to see all this data showing up in one place, automatically generated. And I guess the real question is, how good is the model that they are using? How reflective is it of facts on the ground? And what might it be like to ground truth it? All really interesting, and I hope to share more information with y'all soon. Okay, thanks for watching.